Hi everyone, my name is Karina. Today I'm going to be talking about 8 of the most common healthcare interview questions. So if you do plan on taking upon a new job in the healthcare field, they might ask you some of these questions. So just to prepare, I have a few questions ready and some of the answers that you could mention. So the first one is tell me about yourself, which almost all interviewers ask. So when you're answering this question, they really just want to get to know you as a person and how you would be a good fit for this role. So you want to mention more about your motivations for pursuing a career in healthcare. So you could possibly talk about some character traits you've gained in the past and how they could help you with this role. You could also talk about the present, what's going on in your present life, that could help you with this role. So those are just a few ideas of what you could mention while you're answering the question. The second question is, why do you want to work in the healthcare industry? So something that's a really big thing that a lot of people mention when answering this question is how the healthcare industry is very rewarding. You're making a real difference in people's lives, so it's obviously a great feeling. And it's just important to articulate why you're interested in this specific field. So you could talk about your personal interests in the healthcare field by talking about your experiences. So if you have had any experiences with healthcare jobs, then this would be a great time to mention that and what you hope to accomplish as a professional in this industry. If you don't have that much experience, then that's okay. You can just mention some interests that could align with the role. You also want to highlight your skills and your qualifications, so this would be a good time to mention any relevant training or education that you may have. The third question is, describe a challenge you faced in your last job and how you overcame it. This is a pretty self-explanatory question, but you want to have something ready ahead of time, so you could just think of a problem that you have encountered and how you solved it. So, for example, something that I have mentioned in the past was how in my lab groups, not everyone participated or not everyone did their role to do the lab reports. So what I did was create a schedule, first create a group call and then create a schedule on how to attack this report. And you just want to come up, or you want to explain your challenge that you had, and you want the challenge to be something that shows a specific character trait about you. The next question is, how do you stay organized and manage your time effectively? So you can mention how you could keep a up-to-date calendar for all your commitments so nothing overlaps and you have time for everything. You can mention delegating tasks and responsibilities whenever it's possible to lighten your load, and so that everyone's able to get everything done. You could mention trying to establish routines and sticking to the routines. That will help you use your time way more effectively. So those are just some examples of what you could say to answer that question. The next question is, how do you deal with difficult patients? So there's a few things to keep in mind. First, it's important to remember that every patient is going through something that's hard to deal with. So some are going to be challenging, some are not going to be as challenging. Often there could be something underneath the surface that you may not know about, and that's why it can be very difficult to handle them. So it's important to remember that getting upset only makes the situation worse. And finally, it's important to follow the proper channels for dealing with difficult situations. So if you feel like you're not able to handle the situation on your own, you could always talk to someone else, like your supervisor or another member of the healthcare team. What are your career goals is the next question. So most of these people want to know, what's your long-term career goals before they make a job offer. So some tips for answering this question: you could talk about how you want to grow within the company. That's always a good thing to mention. You could say how you eventually want to become a leader in the healthcare industry or take on more responsibilities over time. If you're not sure what you want to do with your career yet, that's okay. You can just say how explain how your interests align with the company's mission. So those are just a few examples. The next question is, how would you handle a difficult patient? So you could mention how if a patient is angry or aggressive, that it's important to stay calm and professional, and explain what you can do to help the situation and offer options for the patient to consider. If the patient is upset or they're crying, the same thing, you can try and stay calm and professional, and you can see if there's anything you can do to help. And that's where a healthcare professional's emotional role comes into play. And if a patient is making demands that you cannot meet and they're being difficult in that sense, then you can explain the situation to them, why you are not able to meet their demands, and offer alternative solutions. So overall, when it comes to talking about difficulties with patients, you want to show that you are a great communicator. And finally, the last thing would be describe a time when you went above and beyond for a patient. So whether it's staying late to comfort a patient, whether it's going out of your way to get information or resources for them, you want to explain what you did and show that you are very empathetic and caring and compassionate. Going above and beyond is something that healthcare professionals that they do every day for their patients. So you want to know, or the employer wants to know, if you would be a good fit and if you are that type of person. So overall, when it comes to nailing your healthcare interview, you want to just be prepared with thoughtful, insightful responses. And hopefully this video helped you come up with some ideas for some questions and answers for your next interview.